Welcome to the session 33, that is monetary policy interventions. In this session, the learning objective of this study is to study the monetary policy interventions or relationship between monetary policy and RBI. After studying this session, the students will be able to understand the monetary policy interventions with the interlinked connection of monetary policy and RBI. First, we know the various interventions. These monetary policy interventions broadly categorized into two categories. First one is, that is, general credit control. Second one is selective credit control. The general credit control affect the total quality of the credit and the economy generally. General controls include a bank rate, repo rate, open market operations, cash reserve requirements, statutory liquidity requirements, refinance policy, and liquidity adjustment facilities. Selective credit and qualitative credit control refers to the regulations of credit for specific purpose or branches of economic activity. This includes margin requirements, credit ceilings, varying interest rates, moral suasion, and direct actions. So these are all both general and selective credit control techniques which are used in the monetary policy are discussed one by one through the following points. First one is bank rate. Bank rate, also called the discount rate. Bank rate refers to the rate at which the central bank rediscounts or lends money to commercial banks. During inflationary periods, the bank rate is hiked so as to increase the rate of interest on borrowings. This will have dampening effect on borrowings. The reserve the reverse course of action is taken during the periods of falling prices, that is deflation. The RBI changed the bank rate several times from 4.5% in 1963. The rate was raised to 5% in 1964, to 6% in 1965, 7% in 1973, to 9% in 1974, and to 10% in 1983. It was further raised to 11% in 1991 and subsequently increased to 12% since March 1st, 1999. The rate has been reduced to 8% and since April 1st, 2000, it has been further cut to 7%. The rate has been further cut to 6% from April 2003. It has been hiked to 9% with effect from February 12, 2012. As a policy, bank rate is now different and RBI has focused and only on two policy rates, repo rate and reverse repo rate, for some time now. Since 2011, RBI decided to shift to a single policy rate, resume repo rate. Bank rate is now fixed at 7%. Repo rate and reverse repo rates are highly relevant nowadays. In fact, as stated above, repo rate are rendering bank rate irrelevant. Next is repo rate. Repo rate is the rate at which RBI lends money to the banks. When banks lend money to RBI, it becomes reverse repo rate. RBI employs repo rate to manage liquidity in the economy. Repo rate is used to inject liquidity and reverse repo rate is employed to squeeze it. An increase in these rates signals a rise in interest rates. Repo rate is increasingly used in inflationary periods when the focus is on squeezing liquidity. Reverse rate is generally pegged at 0.5% lower than repo rate. In 2016, repo rate was 6% and the reverse repo rate was also same as 6%. Then there is a reverse repo rate. This is the rate at which banks park their short term supplies funds with the RBI. Next, open market operations. Open market operations refers to the purchase or sale of securities, foreign exchange, and goods by the government. Purchase of securities and gold from public results in the expansion of money. Sale of securities and gold results in the contraction of money supply. It was with the objective that 13.5 tons of gold was auctioned during 1977-78. In principle, open market is more effective instrument than the bank rate. For the success of open market, several requisites are necessary. For example, the government securities market needs to acquire considerable depth. Secondly, there is a need to develop institutions like DBHI, STCI, and also the development of the system of primary dealers. Third, need of for greater transparency in the operations. Fourth intervention is cash reserve requirement. Under the RBI Act 1935, every commercial bank has to keep a certain minimum cash reserve with the RBI. The RBI is empowered to vary the CRR between 3% and 15% of the demand and time deposits. Like the bank rate CRR was changed several times. In 1973, it was 7%. In 84, 9%, increased by 0.5% with effect from February 28, 1987, and subsequently hiked to 10%. CRR was further hiked to 15% in the 1991, but brought down to 14% from May 14, 1994, with a view to inject the measure of liquidity in the banking system. CRR was cut down to 10% with effect from January 1997. It is 4% as now. The rate is upped to CRR is a powerful weapon. An increase in the CRR would reduce the available funds for bank credit and reduction would have the opposite effect. Next interaction is statutory liquidity ratio or SLR. In addition to CRR, every commercial bank should keep a certain percentage of its total demand and time deposit with the RBI in the form of liquid assets like cash, gold, or unencumbered approved securities. Maintenance of adequate liquid assets is a basic principle of sound banking. Hence, commercial banks have been required by the Banking Regulation Act 1949 to maintain a minimum ratio of liquid assets. The RBI has been empowered to change the ratio. Accordingly, it is raising the SLR from 25% to 30% in 1972, 32% in 1973 to 35% in 1981, 36% in 1984, and to 37.5% in 1987. This was raised to 38.5% in 1991 and subsequently reduced to 25%. It is 24% from November 1st, 2008. The Narsimhan Committee recommended a gradual reduction of SLR to 25% over a period of 5 years. Consequently, the SLR was reduced to 30% on incremental basis. In April 1992, for the reduction of 0.75% was announced in October 1992. It has been reduced to 25% with effect from the October 16, 1993. Further reduction in SLR would be planned taking into account the evolving monetary situation. SLR is 21.25% as of now. It may be mentioned here that the effect of stepping up of CRR and SLR is the same. They reduce the capacity of commercial banks to expand credit to business and industry, thus are anti-inflationary. Next interaction is refinance policy. The system of refinance provided by the RBI to commercial banks affects their credit. The system is changed periodically to allow or disallow certain flaws by banks. The scope of refinance as an instrument of credit control depends on the liquidity position of the commercial banks. Over the years, the commercial banks' dependence on the RBI for refinance has come down, except in the case of subsidized refinance of agricultural and rural credit. The effectiveness of refinance policy has therefore come down. Next is Liquidity Adjustment Facility LAF. Liquidity Adjustment Facility operates through repo rate. Repo rates are two types, repo rate and reverse repo rate. Reverse repo rate is the rate at which banks park their surplus short term funds with RBI. Repo rate is the rate at which banks borrow from RBI. Liquidity Adjustment Facility seeks to meet day to day liquidity mismatches in the system, smoothen volatility in short term money market rates, and steer these rates consistent with monetary policy objectives. Repo rate has been frequently rises since October 2005 when it was fixed at 6.25% from 10th March 2012. The rate is at 8% and the reverse repo rate has remained unchanged and has been 6% since July 25th, 2006. Direct regulation of interest rates. It is expected that change in the bank rate will bring a change in all market rates of interest in the same direction, but when bank rate loses its significance in regulating market rates, the RBI is compelled to directly regulate interest rates on bank deposits and credit. Since 1964, it has been fixing all deposit rates of commercial banks, and since 1960, their lending rates. Deposit rates of cooperative banks came under regulation in 1974 and their lending rates in 1980. The RBI and some other authorities in India have been directly fixing many other interest rates also. Next is in this direct regulation of interest rate include deregulation in interest rate is began in 1985 after the recommendation of the Chakravarti Committee report. In the past 14 years, important changes in the deregulation of interest rate are the bank rate has been activated. First one, the bank rate has been activated. Second one, the most of the money market rate have been deregulated. Next, third important implementation is the ceiling on the call rate was withdrawn with effect from May 1st, 1989. The interest rates on treasury bills, certificates of deposits, commercial paper, and interbank participations are allowed to be flexible, variable, and market determined. Next is the deposit and lending rates of commercial banks, RRBs, and urban cooperative banks and other cooperative banks have been freed. Interest rates on public deposit accepted by all non-banking companies including financial and non-financial institutions have been deregulated. The coupon rate on government dated securities has been made market related. The interest rate on convertible, non-convertible and other types of debentures have been made free. The term lending institutions can now charge interest rates unhindered by state intervention. Next is selective credit controls. The selective credit and quantitative and qualitative control refers to regulations of credit for specific purpose or branches of economic activity. The aim of selective control is to discourage such forms of activity as are considered to be relatively inessential or less desirable. Selective control has been used in the Western countries to prevent the demand for durable consumer goods outrunning the supply of and generation inflationary pressure. Under the Banking Regulation Act 1949, Section 21 empowers the RBI to issue directives to banks regarding their advance, etc. The RBI mainly relies on the three techniques of selective credit controls. First one is the determination of margin requirement for loans against certain securities. Second one is determination of maximum amount of advances or other financial accommodations. Lastly, charging of discriminationary interest rates on certain type of advances. Besides this, the RBI may also give directions to banks in general or even some particular banks as to the purpose for which loans may or may not be given. These direction may include or related to first one the purpose for which advances may or may not be made, the margins to be maintained in respect of secured advances. Next one is the maximum amount of advances to any borrower. Next is the maximum amount up to which guarantees may be given by the banking company on behalf of any firm or company, etc. Lastly, the rate of interest and other terms and conditions for granting advances. Next is credit authorization scheme. The credit authorization scheme introduced in 1965 with a view to regulating the volume and terms of credit supplied to large borrowers in the country. As per this scheme, if the fresh working capital limit to be sanctioned to any single party by any one bank or the entire banking system exceeded a stipulated level, the bank would require prior authorization or of the RBI for sanctioning such a loan. This stipulated level or cutoff point was fixed at 1 crore at the beginning. It was subsequently increased to 2 crore in November 1975, 4 crore in 1983, and 6 crore thereafter. In the second half of the 1988, the RBI withdrew the scheme and in its place a credit monetary arrangement was introduced. According to the new scheme, credit proposal for 5 crore and above in the case of working capital and 2 crore and above in the case of term loans had to be submitted to the RBI for post sanction security. Next is fixation of inventory norm and credit norms. The banks were required to advance credit for working capital to different industries in the light of inventory norms laid down by the Committee of Direction and its subcommittees. These committees reviewed and received or revised the norms from time to time in case of different industries and banks had to implement the new norms as and when they were formulated. Lastly, the moral suasion. Besides all this, the RBI also circulates letters to the banks regarding the policies and priorities of the RBI about credit control and money supply. It also regularly discusses its policies with the bank. The objective is that the banks should work in the same direction. These are all the interaction between monetary policy and RBI with the various impact on economy as well as banking sector as well as businesses.